Question number 3, Denis O'Rourke.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. This question is for the Minister of Finance. Is he concerned that Massey University has found that the minimum income needed by a single retiree in the main centres is $489.77, when New Zealand Superannuation is only $374.77 per week, and many have no other means?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I reject the premise of the question. In fact, the study by Massey University does not report minimum incomes needed or recommend levels of expenditure. In fact, it quite specifically says that it is not reporting recommended levels of expenditure. There's an annual survey by MSD on levels of hardship show that levels of hardship among older New Zealanders are low, which is one of the reasons the Parliament supports universal national superannuation. The survey the member is referring to records the average amount spent by households that are on national superannuation, that is income from all sources, not recommended minimum expenditure.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Denis O'Rourke.
How is the Minister planning to address growing elder poverty, given the main drivers of this are the cost of accommodation, especially in the main centres, inflation-busting electricity increases and inflation-busting rates increases?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, we certainly acknowledge the challenge for some older people of living on a relatively low fixed income for a long time. I think the Massey survey records that from the Household Expenditure and Income Survey, around 40% of people over 65 have no income other than their national super. The way the government's dealing with it is to fund the significant increases in the weekly national superannuation payment that I referred to in answer to the last question. And that is, while those households do feel the pressure of cost of living increases, in fact national super over the last 6 years has risen at twice the rate of inflation. So they're in a better position now to deal with those pressures than they used to be.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, David Seymour.
Does the government face a trade-off between the age of entitlement for NZ Super and the level of entitlement?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, no, we've kept committed to the policy of keeping the age of entitlement in place and also the current level of entitlement. And one of the ways we're focusing on the long-term ability of the New Zealand to pay for that is to deal with all the other long-term liabilities, particularly in our welfare system, where we have people who are on benefit for 20, 25, 30 years, and we believe that with a more active, compassionate and competent welfare state, we can get more of those people back into participating in society.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Denis O'Rourke. Order. Denis O'Rourke.
Does the Minister accept that the percentage of the average wage on which superannuation is based needs to be substantially increased? And if not, why not?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, no, I don't think it should be increased. We've now had a couple of decades of consensus in Parliament about that particular formula, which has been studied in great detail. And we believe it's about a fair balance of meeting the needs of older people who can't earn an income on the one hand, and the ability of the wider community to pay for that in the face of an ageing population.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Denis O'Rourke.
Why has Mr Finn Heads not received the superannuation back pay and other compensation he is still being deprived of, despite the Human Rights Review Tribunal finding in his favour, and the government accepting that Section 68 of the First Schedule to the Accident Compensation Act needs amendment?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I am aware not of the individual circumstances but of the tribunal decision and understand that matter is under consideration.
Supplementary question, David Seymour.
Can the Minister of Finance confirm his earlier answer that, other things being equal, there is no trade-off between the age of entitlement to New Zealand Super and the level of entitlement?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, yes, I can confirm the government policy, which is to maintain the age of eligibility at 65 and to maintain the current level of payment. When we look out ahead over the ability of the economy to pay for that, one of the ways we can ensure that is, of course, a more flexible, productive economy, and the other is to deal with the other long-term liabilities, such as the welfare spending and also control of health spending, both of which, in both of those areas, we've shown some progress in being able to control the spending.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Denis O'Rourke.
When will the government next review New Zealand superannuation, and can he assure superannuitants and those close to retirement that it will meet their actual needs while also fixing the other obvious injustices and inadequacies?
The Honourable Bill English, either of those two supplementaries.
Mr Speaker, always willing and open to deal with issues that the member might characterise as injustice, as I understand in the case he was referring to earlier. But generally we think the settings are about right. There's been much discussion for a long time about national super in New Zealand, and New Zealand First should take credit for winning a number of arguments over the last 15 or 20 years about national super. We believe those arguments are largely settled and should remain so.
Question number 4, Andrew Little.